Welcome back to Margaritas in Paradise. Today I'm going to go over with you, why do you see certain guys get certain girls all the time, especially here in Pattaya, Thailand. Let's say you're on a street like Soi 6 or something like that. You see a young group, young guys walking down the middle of the street, and they're more into themselves than anybody, and all the young girls are running out grabbing a hold of them. But for the most part, when you look inside the different bars, a lot of times it's the older guys that are sitting there with all the girls. And when you look around, when the younger guys walk in, they're sitting in groups, they're sitting there chatting and drinking, and they don't have any girls there. And why is that? The older, let's say 65-year-old guy sitting in the corner, you have a young girl that's trying to attract to that guy. And why is that? But then there'll be other people that walk down that street and, a portion of it's going to be the guy, what's his attitude? Some of the girls just don't attract to those guys. And there's different types of people out there that attract different people. And it's funny because it's not always the scenario. Does a girl want a young, good-looking, healthy, fit type guy? Or does she want that old guy, the guy with the big beer belly, with facial hair, long hair, scruffy? How's he dressed? Is he dressed in an old scraggly t-shirt? Is he collared, or does he look sharp? What type of girl is right for you? It's amazing to see sometimes the difference that's out there. I've sat in bars before where one of the prettiest girls, she's not interested in anybody until that perfect young guy comes along. And you talk to the other girls, oh, she's very popular. She always has a man. And a girl like that probably has lots of money and that and the other. She can afford to be picky. And there's plenty of those girls out there. But then there's lots of girls out there, using a place like Soi 6, for instance, okay? But there's lots of women, and that's just one of them. You got Soi 7, Walking Street, LK. They're all over Pattaya, all over Jomtien, all over Thailand for that fact. When you're considering where to go, and if you like a certain type of girl, or you're out just having a good time, you may be going out drinking. And when I'm talking about drinking, I don't necessarily mean alcohol, because there's lots of people. The trend anymore is that people don't drink as much as they used to. And I see people talking about coming to Pattaya and it's full of alcoholics and that. And yeah, there are a lot of people that drink. They drink too much for sure. But not everybody drinks here. You don't have to have alcohol to have a good time. And that's a proof fact positive here in Pattaya, Thailand. But there are a lot of people that do drink to excess and that sort of thing. That's a big portion. That's how bars make probably the most money, is on their alcohol sales. So now, if you haven't done so already, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, that you're hitting that subscribe button, hit the little bell next to it for future notification of videos that are coming out. Yeah, I want to put a special shout out to members only area. You got Marty and Florida Gator and Detroit Dan, Nordic Thai Travel. Let's see here. Matt L, Stan D, Mr. JD, Jay Barber, K Brown. All right, guys, I definitely appreciate your support. Does age matter? Is it all the money game? Is it everything? Is it a transactional relationship? As a lot of people lead you to believe? There's a lot of that's involved. They don't really, maybe they don't care so much about what you're up to or anything. They're looking for family security for their own family, their current family. So they may be down for, let's say, Udon Thani or Chiang Mai or someplace else in a distant land in Thailand, and they're here in Pattaya, Thailand, here strictly to make money. They're living in a small condo or a small room with maybe 3 or 4 other girls. Maybe it's cost them 1,000 baht a month to live in, $30 a month to live in this small place, because they have each other. All these other girls are all together. I call that the rat theory. These girls they have a certain sense, and they harden over time. New girls come to town, they don't know exactly what they want, but they depend on the experienced girls. And then it kind of goes into the face structure. Nobody wants to lose face in Thailand. So an older girl is telling a younger girl what to do and how to attract a man and what type of men to go with because they have more money. The girls start thinking sometimes about long-term security. They start looking at younger guys. I mean, younger guys have this massive reputation to be butterflies. So then the guys throw that over on the girls and say, well, they're butterflies because they're going with different people. So the term butterfly is basically going from one person to the next person. You know, there's a lot of guys here in town, they come in here for 10 days and they may go with 10 different women. Every day they go with somebody else. But on the other hand, a really popular person on Soi 6, for instance, may end up going with 2 or 3 different people a night. Never know who you're really talking about of who's the real butterfly. The thing to remember is people that are working on Soi 6 or the rest anywhere else in town here, more than likely that's their job. People come here for whatever reason. They may be looking for love, and if you're looking for love, you're in the wrong place if you're on Soi 6 or Soi 7. Relationships do work. And I should say that most relationships do work. Probably better to find if you're really looking for somebody with a solid chance of a relationship, go find somebody in a bank or a hospital or a business that has a real regular job. Or go online, people that don't work in Pattaya. And it's not to say that you can't find that perfect person in Pattaya, but the chances are diminished because of the nature of the nightlife that's involved here in Pattaya. Does that make sense? Yeah. When you go down to some of these sois, these streets, and you find somebody that's working in a bar and may have other customers, and they're not going to tell you, they have another significant other. It's your turn. And tomorrow it may be somebody else's turn. The whole idea is to get you interested in them, get as many people as they can interested in them, and then create a social relationship. It works really good for most of these girls to have a contact list of 100 different people. So when they are short of money, let's say they're hungry and they just don't have any money to eat, and they could send out a canned message to, let's say, 100 different guys saying, hey, I'm hungry. Could you help me 200 baht to eat or something like that? Okay, and they send them out to all these guys. And the next thing you know, let's say that 10% of them send 200 baht. Well, that's 2,000 baht right there. That's $60. And if you did that every day, I have friends that used to work for me when they worked at my bar, but I had some of my staff that had like Monday lists and Tuesday lists and Wednesday lists, a list for every day of the week, basically, that they would send out these canned messages to potential customers or maybe good friends or that are sponsors, So it wasn't uncommon for the girls that were working for me anyway to have, let's say, 2 or 3 or maybe 10 different sponsors, people they depended on every month for an allowance per se. Maybe 2,000 baht here, maybe 10,000 baht, maybe 100,000 baht. It just kind of depended on the generosity of the people that they were in contact with. And there's a lot of generous people out there. Most of the girls here that are looking for the long-term security, they're going to focus on probably the more stable resources. Probably the older guy, physically fit, that has a good attitude. He's not a cheap Charlie. He's buying drinks for her and maybe her sister. So your personality is going to go a long way. I see guys come into bars all the time and they pick a girl. They don't want anything to do with that bar. Of course, the bar wants everything to do with that potential customer. You want to sell them a drink. You want them to get comfortable in the bar. Let them play their own type of music. You want to make sure that that customer feels welcome in the bar. And the girls are there to add to that atmosphere. But you'll see guys that come in and they pick one girl and they want to get that girl out of that bar as fast as they can. They may be down there just looking for a date to go to dinner with. A lot of these guys, they don't want to have anything to do with that particular bar because it's going to cost them more. And the girl can't run I shouldn't say scam because it's not really a scam, but she can't run hey, let's buy my sister a drink or get as many lady drinks as I can out of this guy. The longer you can keep a potential customer in the bar, the more the bar's going to make, and it makes everybody save face, everybody looks good. There's certain guys, especially the guys who have been here a long time, they get a bad rap for being the cheap guys, the guys that don't spend extra money, the guys that are not willing to buy all these drinks and go out and just have this fabulous time. If you're that guy, you're going to have a hard time. If they get to know who you are, you're a regular, you're going to have a harder time because you're already earmarked as a butterfly, okay? People remember seeing you. The girls out here remember everything. What do you do if a girl rejects you? There's a certain style girl that you like, and you guys know me. If you've been here, if you guys come over here, contact me at margaritasinparadise@gmail.com. We'll set up whether we go to lunch together or go have a drink or even go out in the evenings. I enjoy that. The guys that really know me know I like a certain style. If you like a certain type of person, let's say you like a small, thin, 20-year-old girl. You're attracting the 40-year-old heavy set girls. All right. And that happens to a lot of guys. A lot of it's going to depend on your personality and how you react. And just walking around with a smile on your face has a lot to do with it. Somebody that is confident in what they're doing has a lot to do with it. Somebody that can speak to the girls and make them laugh, that sort of thing, has a lot to do with it. But there's many times I see guys that get in that flight or fight mode. They approach somebody and the girl refuses to look at them, and they won't come in with a drink and absolutely not interested in that guy. And then the guy's like, well, he can't stand that bar. He'll never go back to that bar again because he had a rejection from one girl, from one bar. That rejection is a mental thing in that guy's head. That bar is the worst bar in all of Pattaya. And I see it all the time. And you can't go there. You can't get in that frame of mind because what you have to remember in Pattaya alone, there's probably 200,000 people that are looking to meet you. You kind of have to remember, if you do experience rejection, put it in your head as it's their loss. And better yet, next. Yeah, because again, there's so many people here that are waiting to meet you. So that's the key to remember about Pattaya, Thailand. A little bit more on what girls want, what girls think about. If you're a big guy, if you're too heavy, if you're a guy like me, and you have a smaller girl that's watching you, you may end up scaring that person. Other guys get certain reputations because of their skin color. You never know what to expect and how certain people are going to react. If a girl approaches somebody, doesn't matter what race they are, if they stink or if they're physically dirty or things like that, they're going to be rejected more often than not. Right. If you go into a bar, sit down with somebody, and they want a drink right away, and if you're sitting there, well, they only want a drink from me, they only want my money. Well, duh, they're expected to be treated right. That's part of the atmosphere, okay? They're coming in to have a good time with you. So that's going to be a big clue to them. If you're not all about giving them a drink or something like that, they may end up moving on. The last thing you want to do is feel rejected, okay? You want to move back to that idea. It was her loss. One of the things that I would highly suggest is not changing your style too much, okay? Be comfortable in your own skin, be confident in the way you like to do things. I see guys all the time, and I can look back in my past relationships and coming here to Thailand over the years, and sometimes in the wintertime in the U.S., I always grow a full beard. Many times I've came to Thailand with a full beard, and it just didn't work. Okay, number one, it's too hot and too uncomfortable here because of the heat. Most women don't like facial hair. That's not to say all of them don't. I have two good friends. I have one friend that I mentioned to. He shaved it, but he's been so used to facial hair his whole time, and he has no problem getting Thai women with a full beard. That's not to say that's the norm. One of my brothers out there, Doug, he's got a goatee, I think a mustache and goatee, and he does pretty good too. And that's shout out to Doug. So there's all types of different people out there. But I can tell you that when I had Nikki, she'd be over in the U.S. with me. She couldn't stand it when I grew a beard. They don't like it when they see me with the beards and the old pictures and that type of stuff. And then you're dealing with, let's say, your fitness level, okay? Thin guys versus heavyweight guys and that. And a really good relationship here in Thailand takes considerable compromise. Not too long ago, I had one of my viewer subscribers come over, and he sold everything in the U.S. He made a lot of newbie mistakes, and everybody does that. People, they want to learn. They want to make their own mistakes. When we talk about certain things the way it is, it's a good warning platform for a lot of people. Not everybody listens. They fall back into that idea that, well, my girl's different. I know it. I laugh at that because I hear that all the time. But I have a friend of mine here. You'll know who you are. He came over here and he didn't have the opportunities in his home country that he has here. He probably hadn't been in the dating scene for years, maybe 20 years or so. And he comes here and all of a sudden there's all this opportunity and he goes crazy. He's really having a good time. He's drinking a lot. And then he realized alcohol's not for him, so he gives up drinking altogether. He's seeing different girls and that. But he has this steady girl that he met right away. I think the girl helped him find a condo or something, a real estate agent or something like that, and helped him find a condo. She wasn't the prettiest girl by any means, but she was still pretty. She was pretty in her own right, but maybe you may not think she was that great or anything. But she was really good for him, okay? And she really took care of him, and he could see this. He got to know her more and more and more, and they started going out to dinner, and then they set up, saying that we're only going to see each other on Wednesdays and Fridays, because he wanted his freedom. He wanted to go out and enjoy everything that Pattaya is known for. In a very short period of time, he realized that this person that really wanted to be with him, that would treat him like a king, and she wasn't the best in bed. She really filled all those blocks. You have to be careful that you don't, if you're here to find somebody in a relationship like that, you don't want to miss your chances, right? Yeah, because, if you're here to have a good time and you got that frame of mind that you've already been divorced 5 times and you've already lost millions of dollars worth of financial assets, stay in that mode, do whatever you want with it. But if there's a hint in you that you want to find somebody special, my suggestion is to not miss your chance. Maybe they're not always going to be there for you. So a couple things to think about, keep in the back of your mind. Age equals experience. There's plenty of bad actors out there. Try to see through that game. When you go into a bar and it's all a drink situation, you need to be certain that that's the person you want to be with. There's a lot of drink queens out there. And if it's a concern for you, you should find out if you're there to go out dancing with a person in that bar or something like that. You want to make sure right away, maybe before you start buying drinks or anything like that, if that person will go with you later on or not. Okay, just ask them straight out, get that out of the way. So if you're there to have a great time and drink in the bar and you're not planning on taking anybody home, that's one thing. But if you're thinking about taking somebody home and it gets to the end of the night, you already spent 2,000 baht on drinks, and this girl has no intentions of going home with you, there may be a problem. So get that out of the way early. Find out what her intentions are and go with it. Have a good time. And then the last thing I want to tell you is remember that you're in charge. There's a lot of guys that want to be taken care of out there, and I get that. Okay? When you order a drink, for instance, whether it's a Coke Zero or a beer or whatever it is, and they put a tab in your bin, you should be looking at that tab, making sure that every time a new tab goes in there, it's something that you ordered. It's something, hasn't been a drink added to the bin that you don't know about. Really, if you get to the end of the night, your tab, the bill, is more than what you thought it was, it's your own fault. To me, I have no sympathy for the guy that sits there and says, I didn't order that drink. That was 2 hours ago. How am I supposed to know this, that, and the other? That was on you. You need to check that bin every time. And I want to throw in this as kind of a bonus. Sometimes it pays dividends to know a little bit of the Thai language. You're just able to say hello, like Swati Cup, asking how they are, Sabaidi my cup, okay, things like that. And you can look up how to actually say these things. Words that when they're talking about like Jaidi, okay, which means good heart. That's a good thing. When they're calling you T-Rock, they're calling you darling. So that's a good thing. And they may look at that as a positive. Words like Falang or Farang, they're talking about you and other Western men in general. And if you hear words like Niao, something like that, what they're talking about is a girl's calling you stingy, okay, or you're very tight, sticky, and that's not a good thing. So those are just kind of key words for you to kind of keep in the back of your mind. You don't need to know everything out there, and the more you learn, the better. But just coming here to Thailand, and if you know a little bit, it's going to help you in a big way. What's your experience? Have you seen that handsome man get rejected? Put it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear that story. One of the things that you have to kind of keep in the back of your mind, most of these girls are looking for a path of the least resistance to find a better life. Okay, something for long term down the road, something they can depend on. Are you somebody they can depend on? Well, that's all I have for you right now, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.